Hi and welcome back. So far in this section, we've seen a lot of examples that deal solely with AWS native services. And while this is a course on AWS Lambda Functions with Python and Boto3, we would like to share an example with you that really displays the versatility of AWS Lambda Functions. So what we're going to do in this unit is to set up an AWS Lambda function that can send messages to Slack. Most of you probably know what Slack is, but just in case you don't, it's an intra-office messaging system similar to Microsoft Teams, Skype, or other messaging systems used currently. We're going to go over the slide you see here, but the main purpose is to give you an outline if you download and use a slide deck to practice some of these procedures. But it will make sense as we go through this unit. We have a little bit of configuration to do on Slack first, which requires us to set up a webhook. To get a webhook, you have to navigate to your Slack account by going to the following address, api.slack.com. Once we're on the homepage for our Slack account, what we're going to do is click a button called Create an App. And again, we'll see this in action in just a few minutes. But we'll give our app a name, then we'll set it up to accept incoming webhooks. We'll select the desired channel on our Slack app, and then we'll copy the generated webhook URL. There will be a couple of app parameters and outputs that we'll need to take a look at. But let's actually go through this to see what it looks like. And again, most of these slides are for you to follow along with when you download the slide deck. But we'll cover them quickly here, and then we'll see an example afterwards. But once you get to the Slack API page, you'll click the Create App button here. In the slide here, we see a close-up shot of that. So for app creation, you're going to click to create an app from scratch. You'll then give the app a name, and you'll pick a workspace to develop your app in. Once you have those pieces of information filled in, you'll click Create App. You'll then be taken to a basic information page. On this page, you'll need to select Incoming Webhooks. Once you do, you'll see a page like this that says Active Incoming Webhooks. If you look at the box below where it says Webhook URL, you'll see a box containing that URL, and it'll have a button that says Copy next to it. If you click the Copy button, then Proceed, you'll be taken to a page that says Activate Incoming Webhooks. It's defaulted to off, but if you click that, you can switch it to on. This will activate the webhook so that when you make a Lambda function in AWS and send it, Slack will pick up that message and output it to a channel you specify. You can see the request for which channel to use on the right here. You'll have to select that channel and click Allow. In this slide on the left, you see a set of channels that we've created for our Slack app. We've chosen to use the general channel, as you can see here on the right, and then we click Allow. Once the Slack webhook is configured, we create an AWS Lambda function. As you can see, based on the def lambda_handler method, this function is created for the AWS console. We start by importing some Python libraries, including the Boto3 library as usual. Then, within the method, we declare a variable that we'll call URL, and we set that equal to the webhook that we copied using the Copy button before. We then declare another variable called message and set that equal to a string. In this case, we've put a sample message. We declare another variable called title, and we set that equal to a formatted string that says new incoming message. And we've added the shortcode for an emoticon. Next, we set up a variable called Slack_data that is a JSON object taking several parameters. We set a username to whatever we want. Here for the channel, we've put Slackbox, but based on our previous configuration, we would put #general here. For attachments, that also takes some parameters. We can specify a color and the fields we want to be sent in the message, including the title, value, and true or false for a short parameter. On the right, we continue, and I apologize for the formatting here, but we declare a variable called byte_length and set that equal to a string that gets the size of the Slack data. We specified a headers variable, letting Slack know that the content type is from an application and is JSON formatted. We also pass along the content length in the header using the byte_length variable that we declared above. To send the message, we set up a variable called response, and we chain the post method to requests. We pass the parameters URL and the data, which is a Slack data, converted to a JSON format that we can send as a message. And then for the headers, we pass the headers variable that we declared above. The last couple of lines give us a way to determine if there's any kind of error in sending the message. We say if response and the status code is not equal to 200, then we raise an exception that takes the response.status_code and the response.text, and the two of these together will give us an idea of what's causing the error. But that's pretty much it. Let's take a break here. If you want to try to implement this on your own, please feel free to do so. However, the next unit is going to be a demonstration of what we just covered here. We're going to set up a Slack webhook as well as a Lambda function, and we're going to test it out and make sure we can get a Slack message from AWS using the Lambda function that we set up. So when you're ready, head on back and join us for the next unit.